Imagine you stub your toe on a rock 50,000 years ago. No hospitals, no painkillers, no polite little gap between you and the ground, just darkness, stone, and a white-hot burst of pain. Do you scream? Of course you do. Do you also go, "F this stupid rock"? Now, here's the real question. What comes out? Because if it was a swear word, that opens a very, very strange door. It means swearing is not some modern bad habit picked up from movies, schools, armies, or city streets. It means profanity reaches back into a world before writing, before temples, before law codes, before almost everything we associate with civilization. And once you start thinking about that, swearing becomes one of the weirdest things humans do. Every society has ordinary language, and every society also creates another layer of language, a set of words that hit harder than the rest. Words that are dangerous, dirty, forbidden, explosive. Words children are warned about. Words adults pretend not to use and then reach for the second something goes wrong. Words that can start fights, break tension, mark pain, or make an entire room laugh from pure shock. Why? Why build verbal landmines into language at all? If I tell you something hurts, that communicates pain. If I tell you I'm angry, that communicates anger. If I describe a rule that was broken, the message still gets across. So what is swearing doing that ordinary speech cannot? The obvious answer is that swearing came late. A product of organized religion? Maybe. Or class society. Or shame. Or civilization itself. That sounds reasonable right up until the timeline collapses. Writing is only about 5,000 years old. Agriculture is around 12,000 years old. Our species has been here for roughly 300,000 years. For the overwhelming majority of human history, nobody wrote anything down. No dictionaries. No grammar books. No surviving record of what counted as filthy language around a campfire in the Ice Age. Yet human beings still had pain, rage, fear, humiliation, jealousy, status conflict, and social rules. So if swearing is found across human societies now, then swearing certainly did not begin with writing. It reaches much deeper, and the first real clue does not come from prehistory at all. It comes from damaged brains. Neurologists have known for a long time that swearing actually behaves differently from normal speech. Some people suffer brain injuries that wreck their ability to produce ordinary language. They struggle to name objects. They cannot build smooth sentences. Conversation becomes slow, fragmented, effortful. And then, out of nowhere, they can still swear. Perfectly. Sometimes with force, sometimes with timing, sometimes automatically. A patient can lose much of the machinery for formal speech and still blurt out profanity as if it was just another usual day. That part of language is stored somewhere deeper and harder to erase. That is absolutely astonishing. There are people who cannot easily say what day it is, but can still use curses of all kinds when frustrated. People with damage to language-heavy regions of the left hemisphere often retain these emotional outbursts. Swearing is not sitting in the brain like an ordinary dictionary entry. It is tied to older emotional systems, automatic vocal patterns, alarm responses, and social reflexes that run beneath polished language. And then comes another surprise. Swearing does something measurable to pain itself. In famous experiments, people plunged their hand into ice water and repeated a swear word. Then they did the same thing while repeating a neutral word. The result was not subtle. They tolerated the pain significantly longer when they swore. Their bodies reacted differently. Heart rate shifted. Stress changed. The words were doing some heavy lifting. That is remarkable. A swear word is not just a rude sound attached to a rude meaning. It changes what your body can endure. So now the picture sharpens fast. Swearing survives brain damage better than normal speech. Swearing changes pain tolerance better than normal speech. That tells you immediately that profanity belongs to a deeper layer of language, one fused to emotion, stress, and the body itself. And that means swearing is actually ancient. Long before humans had polished grammar, our ancestors already had emotional vocalizations, cries of pain, threat sounds, fear calls, rage, alarm. Other primates do this too. A chimp does not deliver a sentence when it is terrified. It produces an urgent sound that broadcasts state and seriousness immediately. Humans still do exactly that. Hit your hand with a hammer, and the scream comes before the thought. That matters because swearing sits right at the junction between raw vocal reaction and learned language. It is speech, but it is speech welded to the nervous system. It has vocabulary wrapped around a reflex. That is why it bursts out of people. That is why it feels different in the mouth, and why repeating a swear word does not feel like repeating table or window or cabbage. Profanity is not decoration. It is a tool. A strange one, yes, but a very powerful one. And the mystery gets even bigger. If swearing is tied to ancient emotional systems, then the first swear words did not come from poets, priests, or lawmakers. They came from a much older world. A world where language sat closer to the body, closer to fear, closer to significant immediate consequence. But there is still one missing piece. A cry of pain is not the same thing as a taboo word. Animals can scream, humans swear, so where does taboo come from? This is where swearing becomes fully human. Humans do not just feel emotion. Humans build rules around emotion. We decide that some things are clean and others polluted, some actions honorable and others disgusting, some names safe and others dangerous. Once a group draws those lines, language changes with it. You can see this everywhere in human life. In some societies, saying a dead person's name is so disturbing that people stop using the name entirely. The word itself becomes charged. In others, sacred knowledge can only be spoken in the right setting by the right people. Elsewhere, a single insult against someone's family can trigger violence because it attacks ancestry, loyalty, and rank all at once. Language is never just information. It is social territory. Picture a small prehistoric band. Not a city, not a church court, not a school. 30 or 40 people. A fire, sleeping places on the ground, tools laid out near the edge of camp, shared food, shared danger. Everybody knows everybody. Every quarrel matters. In a world like that, rules are not abstract ideals. They are survival technology. Imagine the hunters return with meat after a long day. One person reaches in first and takes more than his share. That is not bad manners. That is a huge threat to trust. Imagine a child grabs an object used in ritual and starts playing with it by the fire. Every adult turns at once. Imagine someone speaks carelessly about the dead only days after a burial. The whole camp freezes as if someone else just died. Imagine a rival insults your mother, your brother, your lineage, right in front of everyone. That is the environment that creates charged and aggressive language. The first swear words were not modern profanity transported backward in time. They were words loaded with the oldest pressures in human life: kinship, death, blood, status, exclusion, contamination, betrayal. A medieval peasant might swear around blasphemy. A modern teenager might swear around sex or body functions. An Ice Age hunter would reach for whatever his world treated as dangerous and untouchable. The surface changes, the mechanism does not, and that mechanism is brutally useful. A swear word compresses emotion into impact. It tells everyone listening that ordinary speech has ended and something serious has started. Pain, anger, disgust, emergency, all of that can be delivered in a flash. That matters in modern life. It mattered even more in prehistoric life. Imagine you are moving through brush and something bites your ankle. You do not have time for a calm description. Imagine a child touches an object everyone in camp treats as sacred. You do not want a lecture. Imagine a hunter ruins a carefully planned stalk with one stupid mistake. Nobody needs a committee meeting. Imagine someone mocks a dead relative in front of the fire. The room changes instantly. You want verbal lightning. That is what swearing provides. It is fast. It is memorable. It is emotionally unmistakable. It grabs attention before the rest of the sentence even arrives. This is why swearing survived. It helps with pain. It helps with warning and aggression. It helps enforce group boundaries and turns emotion into a signal everyone around you understands instantly. For a hypersocial species, that is an extraordinary advantage. Human beings depend on cooperation more than almost any other animal our size. We survive in groups, and groups need rules. The fastest way to mark a broken rule is not always calm explanation. Sometimes the fastest way is a verbal strike strong enough to stop the room. That is what profanity has always been, a concentrated burst of social force. And once a group has words like that, they become self-reinforcing. Children learn them early because children are always scanning for the boundaries adults care about most. Teenagers weaponize them because teenagers test rank, status, and taboo. Adults police them because adults know those words still carry charge. Old terms fade when they lose force, and new ones rise to replace them. The targets shift with culture. The deeper system never goes away. That is why polite society never wins this fight. Religions condemn profanity. Schools punish it. Parents try to scrub it out. Workplaces strictly regulate it. Yet every generation still rebuilds taboo language from scratch because the human brain keeps needing a high-voltage form of speech. By now the picture is clear. Swearing is ancient because emotion is ancient. Swearing is universal because taboo is universal. Swearing feels different because it rides deeper neural circuits than ordinary speech. And the first swear words emerged when early humans fused raw vocal reaction to the forbidden things their groups cared about most. So who was the first human to swear? Not a philosopher, not a scribe, not a king, a person in pain or rage, a person watching a boundary get crossed. Maybe a hunter missed a throw and lost the meal, or someone stepped into a fire pit. Maybe a rival mocked the dead, or a hand reached where it should not. Maybe a foot found a sharp rock in the dark. The first swear word was born exactly where you would expect it, where emotion overwhelmed description and a human being needed a sound with more force than ordinary language could carry. That is why swearing has never left us. It was already old when cities were young. Already ancient when the first laws were written, and already living in the mouth long before alphabets gave it a shape on the page. The next time you swear after dropping your phone, you are not doing something modern or trivial. You are reaching into one of the oldest layers of human speech, a layer built from pain, taboo, group life, and the deep machinery of the nervous system. A layer forged before schools, before scripture, before history itself. And 50,000 years ago, when that bare foot smashed into the rock in the dark, you swore. You swore hard. We often treat profanity as language breaking down, but from an evolutionary perspective, profanity may be language doing exactly what it evolved to do.